The woman in the mirror feels foreign to me now. My hands cling to the edges of the sink, my fingertips freezing in the coldness of the marble. It's long past midnight. David is at another business meeting. It's been 30 for days and 7 hours since he came home that night, reeking of her perfume, leaving the left side of our bed empty. My trembling hands touch my lips. They're still full, still warm, but no one kisses them. Ethan's gaze suddenly crashes into my mind. David's golf buddy, 58 years old, steel gray hair, and that scar on his face. Every glance touches me as if branding my skin. Yesterday at the club, his hand accidentally slid down to my wrist when he reached for my arm. Emma, he'd whispered my name like a curse. You look tired. I'm not tired. I'm dying. I wanted to scream, but the word I clenched between my teeth now melts on my tongue. Betrayal. I walked downstairs to the living room. I searched through David's jacket. Maybe a lipstick stain, a strand of hair. But what I find in his pocket is worse. 2 tickets, Paris, single occupancy. A note with Sophie written on it. His assistant. 32, red-haired, always laughing. When had David last laughed with me? My phone buzzes. A message from Ethan. I came to fix the water leak in your garden shed. David must have told you. A lie. David's forgotten the garden exists, but my legs move on their own. My nightgown is thin. It's raining. Ethan stands at the door, his wet muscles visible through his soaked shirt, a Swiss Army knife in his hands. Emma, he says, his voice drenched by the rain. Can I come in? The shed smells of moldy wood and rusty nails. As Ethan bends to check the pipe, his shirt clings to his back. I see the scar, a deep groove from Afghanistan. Suddenly I want to trace it with my finger. Does it hurt? I almost ask instead. Why are you here? Ethan escapes my lips. He turns. His eyes gleam like an animal stalking prey in the dark. You know why. My heartbeat drums like a silver bell in my ears. Raindrops tap dance on the shed's roof. Ethan's hand brushes my cheek. His fingertips burn. I always knew David was a fool, he says, his breath hot against my neck. You're a masterpiece. Emma, forgotten in a dusty museum. I should protest, run. But my legs dissolve. My back presses against a rusty shelf. Ethan's lips graze my ear. You've forgotten what it's like to be worshipped. Let me remind you. Just then, the shed door creaks. Before this story spirals further, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. Your support through comments and likes at the end means the world. David's voice booms outside. Emma, where are you? Lightning flashes in Ethan's eyes. He clamps a hand over my mouth and shoves me behind the shelves. Stay quiet, he growls. David's footsteps near. Ethan's heart pounds against my chest, his other arm locked around my waist. I don't resist. David's fists hammer the shed's rusted door. Ethan's breath tangles in my hair. His fingers vice-like on my hip. Stays silent. Every cell in me screams, but my tongue is frozen. The beam of David's flashlight pierces through a crack, catching the feral glint in Ethan's eyes. Emma, what are you doing out here at this hour? David's voice is sharp, but it trembles. Is he thinking of his lies or of me? Ethan's palm is sweaty. He releases my lips and slides his hand to the back of my neck, tracing the word quiet with his index finger. Adrenaline melts like ice in my veins. There was a leak. I blurred out, my voice blending with the rhythm of the rain. I was checking it. I'm cold. I'll come in now. Silence. Then a muttered curse. The damn roof's leaking too. The repairman's coming tomorrow. Footsteps retreat, sinking into mud. Ethan's chest presses against my back, his heart pounding wildly. What about mine? It might burst. David's voice rises again, this time from a distance. I'm taking the car. There's an urgent project with Sophie. Sophie. The name on the Paris tickets melts on my tongue like burnt sugar. When Ethan's lips brush that sensitive spot on my neck, something inside me snaps. I'm leaving, I murmur, but my body stays frozen. Ethan's hands descend from my shoulders to my hips. He spins me around. You can't leave, he says, pushing back the hair stuck to my forehead. Not yet. The rain now hammers the shed. He yanks off his soaked shirt and tosses it aside. The scar from Afghanistan runs like a river from his chest to his collarbone. My fingers involuntarily trace it. Did it hurt? I can't ask because his lips crush mine. A scream, a protest, an apology, all drown in this kiss. As his hands grip the lace of my nightgown like he might tear it, my mind flashes to David, packing his suitcase, Paris, single occupancy. Ethan's teeth leave marks on my neck, and the fury inside me sparks to life. I don't resist. Take what you want, a voice whispers. If he took, you take too. Ethan seats me on the rusty shelf. The metal is cold, but my skin burns. This might be the most beautiful revenge I've ever seen, he says, settling between my knees. He tosses the Swiss Army knife to the ground. He won't use it, I think. Yet I feel as if its blade could carve out my heart. Outside, David's car engine roars. Ethan's lips descend to the birthmark on my chest. Look, he says, his breath scalding my skin, a spot David never saw. The engine noise fades. Ethan's hands are rough, but his touch painfully tender. I should protest, but my body drinks him in like parched soil. You don't love me. I force the words out as he grips my wrists. He smiles. The scar stretches. Love. No, he says, pressing into my hips hard enough to bruise. But I worship you with your cracks, your rage. You're perfect like a shattered statue. A raindrop seeping through the roof bursts on my shoulder. Ethan's fingers roam my inner thighs. My mind splinters. David's laugh, Sophie's red hair, the shed's moldy stench all blur together. Stop, I finally say. My voice weak as a child's. Ethan freezes. Something breaks in his eyes. He waits, but why? David didn't stop. He flew to Paris, and I'm here, soaked, trembling, alive. I press my hands against Ethan's scar. Keep going. At that moment, the shed's lone bulb flickers out. The rain becomes a storm in the dark. His breath, my moans, and the creaking shelves all morph into a hymn of betrayal. But who's betraying whom? Ethan's phone vibrates, lighting up a notification. A photo of David and Sophie at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Single occupancy tickets and a third suitcase beside them. Emma's mind freezes in momentary panic. Ethan leans in to hide the marks on his neck, whispering, "Told you he's a fool." Ethan's hands still carry the imprints of my skin. As he quietly gathers his clothes, the glow from his phone lights up the shed. David and Sophie with suitcases. A third one. Turns out it wasn't one way to Paris after all. Ethan smiles, but this time it's twisted with bitterness. See, he says, slinging his jacket over his shoulder. The game he's playing with you isn't half as dirty as mine. The rain has stopped. Moonlight seeping through the shed door traces Ethan's scar in silver. Before leaving, he turns back. If you want, you can burn it all down. I know what he means, but I don't reply. The house is empty. David's note on the table. Staying a few days. Work spiraled. Sophie's laughter rings in my ears. I lean against the kitchen counter. My hands tremble, but not from anger this time. From power, like Ethan said, a shattered statue, but still standing. I go upstairs, pull down the suitcase from the closet. My suitcase, not one of the luxury ones David bought me. the patched up one inherited from my mother. I pack a few books, my passport photos, and her diary. Flipping through the pages, I land on the final lines. One day you'll rise from your ashes, my girl. You'll light the fire yourself. At dawn, I return to the garden shed. Ethan's dropped Swiss Army knife still lies on the rusted floor. I pocket it sharp. At the bank, I close our joint accounts. Forging David's signature isn't hard. Years ago, I wrote his birthday cards in his handwriting. Irony. My phone rings. Ethan. I don't answer. Back home, I stand before the mirror. The woman there isn't a stranger anymore. I cut my hair. The snip of scissors syncs with my heartbeat. As long curls fall, the marks Ethan left on my neck are exposed. Not revenge, I whisper to the woman in the mirror. Freedom. David returns 2 days later. When he knocks, my suitcase waits in the hallway. His face is confusion, his hands clutching flowers. White roses. So predictable. Emma, what's going on? I smile. Invite him in. He stands in the living room, shrugging off his jacket, stained with Sophie's perfume. Expecting me to forgive you, David. He falters. What are you talking about? I fling the Paris tickets at his face. Pull up the photo on my phone. The third suitcase. I'm almost sorry you thought me this stupid. His face turns chalk white. Listen, Emma, that suitcase isn't mine. I cut him off, and I don't care anymore. I grab my suitcase and leave. The knife from Ethan's shed digs into my palm. Sharp. David shouts after me. Where are you going? Come back. I turn. Sunlight filters through my cropped hair from my ashes. At the station, I buy a one-way ticket. Destination unknown. A message from Ethan pops up. Did you burn it? I delete his number without replying. Open my mother's diary. Add my own line to the last page. I lit the fire, Mom. And now I'm burning. I stare out the train window. As David's house shrinks on the horizon, I hold the knife from my pocket toward the glass. Sunlight glints off the blade. Sharp, free, mine. Sunlight filtering through the train window traces my sharp jawline in gold. The cold Swiss Army knife in my pocket feels like a pact in my palm. I hear footsteps in the corridor, but don't turn my head until a voice begins reciting the lines from my mother's diary. I lit the fire, Mom, and now I'm burning. I glance slowly. The man standing in the corridor wears a black train coat, his wrist tattoo visible beneath the sleeve. The book in his hand is Kafka's Metamorphosis. His hair is windswept. In his eyes, something familiar glints the shine of being lost. Sorry, he says, his voice merging with the rumble of train wheels. That line feels like it was written for me. His fingertip brushes the tattoo on his wrist. To burn. First accept your ashes. I don't smile, but I gesture to the seat. He sits. His scent, salt, tobacco, oleaster leaves, erases the mold I'd breathed in the shed, as if he'd stolen my mother's words and returned them to my soul. I'm Elias, he says, not even glancing at the marks on my nape. No destination, just want to keep moving. I close my mother's diary. My hand reaches for his tattooed wrist. The ink has faded. Did it hurt? I ask. He studies my hair, short, tangled by the wind. Only the first stitch, he replies. The train plunges into a tunnel. In the dark, my hand lingers on his tattoo. He doesn't ask. I don't explain. When we emerge, sunlight binds to strangers' shoulders. As our ashes scatter in the same wind, we watch the rails stretch into infinity. Maybe new beginnings are the sentences spilling from a stranger's lips, or the second spark thrown into the fire, the scream of silence if you've made it this far. I know my story has moved you deeply. There's so much more to share. You won't want to miss a thing. Don't forget to hit follow, turn on notifications, and leave a comment about this story.